Fun fact, if Shakira had sex with Jeremiah Clark, they'd have a Jeremy Renner. Right? That's biology.
that is Science Corner on the Backwards Week podcast.
You're welcome. Can't unhear it.
This is a show about the 500 albums that Rolling Stone says are the best, and we're gonna talk about them ad nauseum. This is a show about the 500 albums that Rolling Stone says are the best, and we're gonna talk about them ad nauseum. This is a show about the 500 albums that Rolling Stone says are the best, and we're gonna talk about them ad nauseum. This is a show about the 500 albums that Rolling Stone says are the best, and we're gonna talk about them ad nauseum.
And we're back. All right, so we're coming to you. This is album number 496, if I'm not mistaken, off of Rolling Stone's Top 500. And my Espanol is no bueno, so we're going to leave most of that to Daniel today. Daniel, this album is called
Dónde Está? Oh my God, I've already fucked it up. Dónde Están? Let me get the conjugation correct. Dónde Están los ladrones?
by an artist you know named
Shakira.
Shakira.
Yes. So, ¿Dónde están los ladrones? Where are the thieves?
1998 was the year, and this is pre any one of the songs that we know of Shakira in the U.S. on pop radio.
Correct. This was, I wouldn't say this is her breakthrough album. This was probably her breakthrough U.S. album.
This is her breakthrough career move, one might say.
Yeah.
I looked at the catalog. She's got, 14, 15 albums or something like that. And I mean, this is number 2 or 3. It's very early in the realm.
Yeah. Number 4, actually.
Okay. I love the fact checking. It's perfect.
Yep. Well, I just pulled out. I couldn't remember what it was, but yeah.
There's not a lick of English on this album, guys.
No. And that's not a bad thing.
No, not at all. And it's true to who she is. Mm-hmm. And it was only after the success of this album that her U.S. roots and the English made their way into things like Hips Don't Lie and, all the tunes that we know of Shakira.
Yep. Whenever, wherever. Yep.
She-Wolf.
Yep.
Yeah. And so we have Shakira. I was personally surprised to see her in the top 500. I don't know why. I'm not trying to be demeaning or anything else. I just had no idea she had such depth. I didn't know anything about her journey. Anything about her production, songwriting. I just assumed she was a pop passerby because I never paid much attention to her. I'll DJ her stuff at weddings.
Right.
Your thoughts?
Similar. I mean, I knew she was a big deal. I did know that. And I remember when she was breaking in the U.S. and it was really kind of, in my opinion, it was kind of cringy the way it was being produced, because when it came out, they're like, here's this great star. She's huge in Latin America. And she was already huge in Latin America.
No question about that.
But the way they did it, and kind of at the time when this was happening, there weren't a ton of single name stars. You had Cher, you had Madonna, you had Sting, right? You had some people that were one name wonders. And so the funny thing that's inappropriate is when they announced her, it's like, ladies and gentlemen, Shakira. And all I could think of was Godzilla. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And it was so awkward and weird. And it felt like Menudo to me with the way that when I saw the whole presentation there was some mini documentary that I saw on her before I'd heard any of her music. And so I was already a little uncomfortable with what was happening, that I kind of dismissed it at the time. So that was my initial take. And then, of course, she gets popular. It's impossible to not know a couple of her songs, at least, right? Whenever, Wherever, Hips Don't Lie, at least. And never had any issues. But it's not typically a genre of music I spend a lot of time listening to.
No.
Or so I thought.
Ooh, I would love to explore that more.
Yeah.
There was, and tell me if you remember this. There was this reemergence, this interest, this little flash in the pan, if you will, in the early 2000s, supreme early, like maybe the year 2000, if I'm not mistaken, where Christina Aguilera suddenly grew an accent. I wanted to get back onto her Espanol roots. Jennifer Lopez had gone off, and all of the sudden we were kind of, as a culture over here, accepting and stoking this kind of Latin American music. It was nothing more than a little pop for a second, but I feel like it was in response to her.
I think you're right. Again,
they sent a really good version of the real thing, and we all of a sudden, the imitators started coming out of our crowd.
Yeah, I mean, not to knock Christina Aguilera, she's very talented,
but she's not a Latin artist.
No.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. She could have been. She chose not to be.
Exactly.
Yep.
You don't go genie in a bottle and then suddenly try and turn the corner. But I mean, I'll never forget watching her really try and bend that out. I think her publicist saw that died, and they, that was very short lived. But it was a thing for all of a second. We had OMC on the radio,
Yep.
late 90s as well. It's not like Latin pop music didn't exist with the influence, but it didn't exist in the way that this album shows at all.
Right.
Gloria Estefan didn't have it either. I mean, it was a couple good songs, but once again, it wasn't a presence.
Well, I think with Gloria Estefan, they put her in a safe bottle,
Sure.
right? Is Conga really a Latin American
No.
song? Yes. I love that song, right? When it comes on, it's
I
great.
love the Miami Sound Machine.
Yeah, but that is safe for America.
Sure.
Right.
How about
For United
Enrique
States.
Iglesias, Ricky Martin?
Right.
Still,
Yeah.
safe Latin pop.
Correct.
Livin' La Vida Loco is not a Latin song, right? It's about as swing as Zoot Suit Riot is.
Yep.
There was this whole thing going on right around the turn of the millennium where people were dipping their toe into a style but wouldn't fully commit. Meanwhile, Shakira comes in absolutely legit. We know this because we've listened to this album. I've listened to it, well over a dozen times at this point.
Yeah.
And it was 1998 release.
Right.
And when she hits the US, I mean, we had nothing like this to compete.
No, and when we get into the album, we'll talk about this because not only does she bring this Latin American, she's from Colombia, right? Yep. But has a slightly mixed heritage. Her father is Lebanese.
I was gonna say, yeah.
So she has some of that going for her too, which actually shows up on the album. And what's interesting as well is I never made this connection because I never paid attention to her, but she's the South American Alanis Morissette.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, sorry. I took a sip of wine there, so I can't say anything more than that. Half of my notes are just, my God, are you doing so much Alanis stuff?
Yeah. And I don't think, well, I'll wait for the album part before we get into that. But I mean, that's just her voice. And she does it in other places because I've gone beyond this album out of curiosity. I'm like, oh, let me dig in more, right? Because I had a very, like I said, I assumed that I didn't listen to the music she produced as a matter of course. And what I mean by that is I'm not a big pop diva music consumer.
Sure.
I don't ignore them. I don't belittle them. I don't begrudge them. It's not in my daily rotations.
No, it's not your consumption.
Right.
That's fair.
So I listened to this album like, is this all of her stuff? And so it's not all of her stuff, obviously. And well, I'll clarify what I mean because without getting into the album, this is more of a rock album than what I thought I was going to hear.
Agreed.
And so if I'm thinking of Hips Don't Lie, that's not a rock song, right? That's a very produced song. Very produced song. There's real instruments in it too. But I thought I was getting pop diva, and that's all I was going to get. And that's not what I've gotten.
I feel like we're running parallel on that thought. Mine's more, I was surprised to hear how much U.S. influence was sitting on her tracks across the board.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm so used to, so one of the things I listen to all of the time, because I'm a gigging musician and I'm always driving home at 2 something in the morning on Friday nights, I'm sorry, is on WTMD, Towson Radio here in Baltimore. A show comes on super late night called The Latin Alternative. It's an hour-long program, and literally it's Latin alternative music with very enthusiastic hosts. I feel ashamed I can't name their name by name, but I enjoy the program. And you hear, all of these great Latin artists from multiple countries and their takes on what it feels like alternative music in their area. It's just not your common bachata, whatever it might be. And the influence from, their culture and their music and their rhythms and their instrumentation is always the same. It feels. It's rare something gets out of the box. I was floored with how far out of the box she got.
Yeah.
Pre-2000. Pre-year 2000. They were on some stuff. I mean, I want to know who got into their ear, because the parallels to U.S. alternative music at the time in 1998 to what she's singing are absolutely mirroring each other. They're not behind by a step.
No.
She's singing the style of the time. And for me, that was wildly attractive. It made this album such a great listen for me.
Yeah, I agree. I was not expecting it to be. You said it perfectly. I thought it would be behind. Oh, I wasn't expecting this at all.
No, that's right.
Right.
Because this is not She-Wolf. This is not Hips Don't Lie, right? Like, this reflection and why it made the list to me makes a lot of sense right now. Foreshadowing per se, but like, there's an absolute there's a time capsule here, and it's a mystery to me because I don't sprats in Espanol. And so I can't even tell you. I mean, I didn't take the time to sit down and like read lyrics translated, but every bit of the emotions there, the mic techniques are there, the instrumentation is there, and we'll get into that more in a second. But it's striking to me, and I think it's worth just putting right out front.
Yeah, I agree.
As our historian and documenter here, what fun facts do you want to share about this album before we, get into the nitty gritty?
Well, I mean, like I said, this was a fairly intentional breakthrough album, and what I mean by that is she was already big in
Colombia
and South America, right? And they were trying to promote her here. And I haven't dug into this too much about everything you were just talking about, how orchestrated that was, what you're saying, or how organic it was.
I mean, it's probably a column A, column B type situation.
Right. I mean, she's considered to be one of the most influential female musicians of all time, which for someone that I'd only heard like 3 of her songs seems shocking to me, but I get it.
It's very proofs in the pudding, right?
Yeah. So I mean, she's from Colombia. She has an interesting heritage, like she's Spanish and Lebanese. And when they were trying to bring her over, again, what I'm really impressed with is when they were trying to bring her over, they didn't automatically gentrify her. Right. We still are getting Spanish influence.
There's not a lick of English on this album.
Right.
I mean, none.
Right. So, I mean, the album has a ton of plays. She did an MTV Unplugged, which is essentially...
I saw that album on Spotify, and I was like, that's super cool.
It's essentially this album with a couple of her previous hits. She got a little bit of flack for one of the songs. I forgot to write it down. I didn't really care. Where they thought it was too derivative of one of her earlier songs, like a remake of an earlier song.
Okay.
Who cares?
Whatever.
Yeah.
There's only, 12 stories, people.
Exactly. Other than that, I mean, this album has definitely done quite well. There are a lot of singles.
And this is like so pre-sex doll Shakira. This is not about her stomach and her butt. And like, this is just a young rockin' girl.
Yeah, the live footage of this era, she's wearing a T-shirt. Right? There's no tummy.
That is not the Shakira that we,
right.
Air quotes, grew up with.
They may appreciate. Yeah.
They're like, if we don't get you with the music and the lyrics, we'll get you with, this hot girl belly dancing.
Right. Right. And she did, invoke that. She invoked sexuality in that time, but she was fully clothed.
Yeah,
right?
it wasn't the centerpiece of it by any means.
Right.
Not to say that the centerpiece of her career here was that, but it was an element that I think, I'll be the first to admit it, it was very recognizable.
Yeah. And so the album did quite well. In the United States, it ranked in platinum. Which is
back when platinum mattered, that plays.
Yeah, so 4 million worldwide certified units, which is great.
That's like 3,999,000 more than we have.
Exactly. I'm not knocking it. Yeah, and album sales mattered, and for someone coming from there, certainly impressive.
I'm sure her tours was slang, yeah.
Yeah, and she's definitely gone way beyond those numbers at this point. Like, even looking at this album, I'm sorry, I'm actually pulling up Spotify because it crashed on me. And I'm using a Mac. Things don't crash on Macs, right?
The Macs don't lie.
Yeah, so I just wanted to pull up like some of the numbers. I didn't write them down because I usually use use Spotify for the cheat sheet.
I got mine right here. Let's
there we go.
So, do you want to look at that album?
Yeah, at that album specifically.
All right, wonderful. Here it is. Oh, wow.
Right.
So, we're looking at 301 million plays on the first song of the album. Almost 200 million on the next, 126 million, 50 million, almost 400 million on song 5.
For ostensibly a debut album.
It's 11 songs, and she's sitting on, what has to be 750 million listens?
Yeah.
I didn't even look at those figures. That's nuts. That's absolutely out of control.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's got 14 albums.
She does. That's why she's one of the most influential pop singers of all time that we just haven't been paying attention to.
Well, while you guys all sit there with your jaws in your hands like we are, we're going to take a quick break.
Hang Under from the makers of Misfit Mattress, the science of suffering evolved. Do you yearn for the glory days of regrettable nights, but can't stand losing control? Do you long for the soul-crushing misery of a hangover, but without all the fun of drinking? From the masterminds behind Misfit Mattress, the bed designed to ruin your sleep, comes Hang Under, the world's first scientifically questionable hangover simulator. Powered by Hangover Dynamics, a field we totally made up. Our patented formula offers skull-splitting headaches, courtesy of NeuroClog technology. Bubble Gut Roulette, thanks to our precision-engineered beer mud enzymes. Bed Spins, powered by our exclusive Dizzy Max Elixir, ensures that you'll feel like you're stuck on a cheap carnival ride with no off switch and a greasy carny at the controls. All of that in a side of existential dread with every dose enhanced by our proprietary Bad Decision Extract. It's like a night out minus the fun, but with all the misery, and it's perfect for introverts. Pair it with your Misfit Mattress for a complete next-day disaster package. After all, nothing complements nausea quite like tossing and turning on the least ergonomic mattress imaginable. But don't take our word for it. Listen to what Harry D has to say about Hang Under. I haven't touched a drop of alcohol in years, but Hang Under made me feel like I chugged 2 pitchers of sangria and tried karaoke anyway. The beer muds was so realistic, I had to replace my bathroom carpet. Hang Under has not been approved by any regulatory agency, real or imagined. Side effects may include headaches, nausea, poor life choices, and wondering why the fuck you ever bought this. Do not use with Misfit Mattress if you value your dignity. Hang under, because not drinking shouldn't mean not suffering.
Yay! Well, that's one of the better sponsors we could have asked for, Daniel.
Exactly. I cannot wait to replace my entire underwear collection.
Ugh. So, let's get into this album a little further. Once again, the name of the album is
Dónde Están los Ladrones?
Which means...
Where are the thieves?
Where are the thieves?
I think they're the record company.
Yeah, I mean, a fair assessment. Did
Yeah.
you look into that?
No, I did not. But
I was like, wow, oh my God, we're going to get into a thing.
no, that's just, what every music
You know what,
artist
though? In
thinks.
the late 90s, I would not doubt that. But
Yeah.
Where are the thieves? That's an edgelord title.
It is. And I, like you, I did not go through every song and translate the lyrics. My Spanish may be a step or two above yours, but
Non-existent?
well, you know how to ask where the shoe store is.
I know how to order a beer and find the library. Those are the two things I can do in Spanish.
¿Dónde está la... What is it? Biblioteca.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. God. Wow. And I just said I was better than the edit.
You still are.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, this is a 90s album, so it has a 90s mix. One thing I love about the production of this, I'll say right out of the bat, is there's a lot of real instruments.
Yep.
Which I didn't expect coming into this. And I wish I could find the answer to this query. I didn't look that hard, but in the research I did, they used quote unquote older amplifiers,
Oh, cool.
whatever that means, and a 40-year-old German mic, but I couldn't track down what 40-year-old German mic.
They have a few. There's a few out of Germany I've heard of.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know exactly what they used. I dug in a bit. I couldn't figure it out. I translated a couple of Spanish articles to English where I thought I might get the answer, and it just said 40-year-old German mic. So pretty opaque.
I'm a 40-year-old German last name man.
That's correct.
Did they use me?
They may have.
They just sang into my mouth.
Okay.
For any of you music dorks out there who know the answers to this, you can hit us up on our email at
backwardsbeatspodcast@gmail.com.
good. We'd love to know your thoughts on what you thought they used to produce this. But I mean, when I listen to it, I'm like, yeah, we can attain those sounds right here in my studio.
Easily.
These are old tube warm Fender amps. This is a Neumann microphone. I mean, it's pretty clear to me what they're using. But I'm so stoked to hear a Shakira album, which once again I thought was all digitally produced, and you go back and it's totally analog. It's totally the instrumentation that we would use to write an Americana album here.
Yeah, with few exceptions, there really isn't a grid on this album.
Agreed. And there are digital influences, no doubt about it. There's some cool synth stuff. There's some cool drones and pads.
There are drum machines too.
Yeah, absolutely. But generally speaking, this album, you can go get yourself a band and perform live. She's not over-programming in this one, as Dan, I think, pointed out earlier, to even go in and be able to do a MTV Live version later and cut it down to all acoustic.
Yeah, and I haven't watched a ton of her live performances, but I spot checked through and watched some songs that I thought were interesting. And she has a pretty sick band that plays with her to this day.
I'm not surprised at all. I mean, with a talent like, when you listen to her voice and you see the way she commands the stage and you hear her on these albums, I mean, who wouldn't want to play with that?
And it's not that she doesn't play. She plays guitar, herself. So it's not that she's a singer who just needs a world to support her.
You get extra respect points in my book for that one.
Yeah. She plays harmonica. She plays harmonica on this album. She plays harmonica in the Unplugged stuff. And it's not that I'm not saying that your pop stars don't have real musicians. Of course they do. Dua Lipa had Nuno Bettencourt,
That's true.
right?
Yeah.
From Extreme. So, and who's a shredder extraordinaire. If all of you people think Extreme is just more than words,
No, just go watch any Rick Beato video now.
it's not, right? So it's not that pop stars don't use real musicians, but there certainly is a high prevalence now to cut musicians out of the equation when making music.
Yes. I mean, and you can't make the argument the other way. I mean, look at the Billie Eilish stuff. I mean, that's what Felix literally just sitting there on Logic, like creating killer
Phineas.
I'm sorry. Thank you. I deserve to eat that one. We will not edit that out. But the fact that he can sit down and make those scarce sounds with those sounds, like there's a time and a place for acoustic instruments and not. What struck me is when you listen to specifically the guitars, like on this album, right? You're coming from somebody who has a career in Latin America, and they're playing guitar like gringos.
Right.
Like, this is not Latin guitar. This is not, traditional. Not to say there's not a few of them on there, but they're strumming down the middle like we do. Like, it's just, campfire chords, bar chords, alternative rock guitar strumming on so many songs. I've never heard anything like it from the era out of a Latin artist.
Maybe not the first song, but yes.
No, even in the first song, get
Yeah.
towards the chorus,
Yeah.
I feel like the first song, which we should get into right now, actually, it opens in a very almost traditional sense. It's like they're trying to put the mask on for a sec, only to unveil.
Yeah, and I'll follow there, but I do want to say this one thing about produced music. I don't think there's anybody on this podcast who is crappy on produced music.
Well, all music's produced, but we mean
what I mean,
heavily produced.
Right.
Yeah.
So you talked about Billie Eilish. Both Phineas and Billie Eilish can play guitar and play piano.
Sure.
And they cut down songs and they do some beautiful performances with just
No
him on
question.
guitar and her singing. So
My favorite thing she's done recently, she sings on Sesame Street with the Count. You seen that?
Yeah.
It's like this weird swooner. I'm like, oh my God, her and the Count gonna fuck after this? Like, it's really crazy how wildly intimate. And so she, Sesame Street has these artists on all the time. So Billy's song is so earnest and so Rat Packy and swoony. And then they put on these other artists, Haley Seinfeld, whatever her name is. The auto-tune is just dripping off of her, right? Like, you can see the security. No, Billy's on there just like, let me at it. I want to sing with the Count and hold his hand and show my feet. Like, it's a very earnest pop star killing it. And I think we need to keep that in perspective when we're looking at Shakira too. This is somebody who entered in most people's radar as this pop star, very produced, very sexualized, very consumable, 3-minute, 30-second song on pop radio. We are watching her walk into this in this album.
Yeah. One last thing. I think this is our second episode where we've talked about performers on Sesame Street. Do we need to keep a tally since you're a relatively new father?
I watched so much Sesame Street.
Maybe we need to keep a Sesame
Who
Street
did I mention
counter.
last time? Did I mention Anderson .Paak?
You did.
Holiday. Oh, so good, dude. So good. So good. I saw Casey Musgraves on there the other day. Man, she's fantastic too.
Yeah.
Anyway, first song, will you do me the honor of titling it?
Ciego Sordomunda,
Nice.
which means blind, deaf, and mute.
All right. First thoughts.
Well, we talked about how it comes in traditionally. She's from Colombia, even though it's a mariachi intro,
It is. Trumpet
which is not necessarily.
smacking you right in the face.
Yep. And I love the fact, and we talked about the fact that there are real instruments on this album. However, in this particular song, it is a dance tune at its core with like a disco drum loop going on. But there are other real instruments being played. There are real trumpets. There are real guitars. there's a lot of really good stuff on this song. I think it's a banger of an opener.
It's a great way to open an album. I couldn't help but make the side. So I have notes today. I'm trying to be more like Dan. I couldn't help but note. It struck me in the same place that OMC's How Bizarre hits me.
Okay.
It's roughly the same tempo. It's major. It has that dance feel to it. These major thirds going through it, and I was just like, oh, this is comfortable. But she's pretty edgy in her singing. I mean, this is where you're being introduced to your singer, and she's not like lightly fluffing over this major music.
No.
She's vocalizing in a way I don't understand. Literally, but also like as a guy who works with a lot of singers and sings at gigs, I mean, she's attacking her phrases. She's growling a little bit at times. She's showing off range. I mean, this is a here I am.
Yeah, I would agree. It's funny you mentioned that. I want to talk about the trumpet a little bit later, but the intro to me, because I'm hearing this as her first album, even though it's not her first album, it's her fourth album.
It may as well be, though, like, right?
Yeah.
For the sake of this conversation.
Yeah. So, because what I love about the mariachi intro is it immediately brought me back, even though it sounds nothing like this, but the first song on Bare Naked Ladies' first album, Gordon, Hello City, comes in with a trombone, which is awesome. It's such a great, I feel like it's such a great, introduction.
Well, it's a fanfare.
Yeah.
Think about what horns do. This was, kings being introduced to the court,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. It sounds nothing like Hello City, but for all of you people who think like 1 week's the only song they have, you should listen to Gordon.
Oh, there's no question about it. I think that anytime that you have the confidence to open a song with something that screams where you came from, and then immediately go and change it, you win my book. It was a really strong opener for the album.
Yeah. Harmonically, it's pretty basic. I like the staccato chorus, like the melodic staccato chorus, and I would love to hear a version of it with the Gypsy Kings clapping along with that staccato chorus.
Yeah. This album, just, to get ahead of it, is rife for a remaster. I mean, or a remix per se.
Yeah.
Things that could be done. She's had remix albums, but they've almost always been dance remix albums.
Right.
This could be so cool to add on to. Like, I'd love to have a hand in this.
Yeah. That'd be
But
awesome.
there's great musicianship across the board. A absolute banger of an opener. Let's move on.
Well, I have a tiny rabbit hole, and then we'll move on.
Oh, no,
okay?
no.
Rabbit hole.
I'll go full rabbit hole. Let's go.
So we talked about Alanis Morissette. There's a breakdown in here that gets kind of edgy. That's some very Alanis Morissette vibes. But
That's throughout this album. I mean, the parallels are...
Yeah. But post-breakdown, there's a trumpet line that reminds me of the trumpet sound in Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba.
I get knocked down.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like that, but it like sonically, it's mixed the same. It's the same spot in the mix.
The timbre is there.
Yeah. And then I've always thought about this, and I've talked about it with some people, but the finale of Tub Thumping, the trumpet part in that.
Yeah, they're playing...
So you do know what that is.
Yeah, it's not Ode to Joy.
It's Trumpet Voluntary
Thank you.
by Jeremiah Clark. So for those of you, I just wanted to throw that out there as a piece of trivia. Has nothing to do with Shakira, but if you wanna listen to Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba and listen to that outro solo, it's not played how they would play it. People who are purists would call it a bastardization, but it is look up Trumpet Voluntary by Jeremiah Clark, and that's what Chumbawamba are playing.
Fun fact, if Shakira had sex with Jeremiah Clark, they'd have a Jeremy Renner. Right? That's biology.
That is Science Corner on the Backwards Beats podcast.
You're welcome. All right, number 2. Número 2.
Número 2. Si te vas.
So this is a actual rocker.
It is.
So if you look at how they open the album, big energy, true to the roots, but here I am as a vocalist really showing you what I can do. This one for me really hits. It's what sets this apart from my assumption this was going to be a pop album. This is when my mind changed. I went, oh man, we're going to play rock and roll here. This sounds like 90s alternative to me.
Yeah, I agree. My very first note is there's a lot of Jagged Little Pill vibes on this one.
Yep.
And I'm going to say this now. I'm not meaning that to be disparaging or derogatory towards it at all.
I embrace it. That's Jagged Little Pill will be an album, I'm sure, in the top 100 you and I probably talk about. I don't know where it lay in our future, but it has to be on this list, right?
Yeah, it does have to be. And I do not know where it's on the list, but it was considered the album of the decade.
Yeah.
By Billboard, so probably Rolling Stone probably put it on there.
We'll be in the top 100 when we talk about it, but
yeah.
to say that Shakira channels these Alanis Morissette vibes so well, and without copying, it's just she sings with the same integrity and frustration and intensity, and
she has something to say.
Oh man, and she's not afraid to say it, and it's like being yelled at. Right?
Yeah.
Like in a fight, like being scolded, and in a good way. It's fantastic. You can hear all of her disposition. You can hear all of her constitution as she kind of just says what she wants to say. And I thought this was such a neat way to follow up the first song of the album.
Yeah, I feel like, and with the Alanis sort of overtones, I mean, Alanis was king of the world at this time. Or queen of the world, I should say. And
she could be king if she wanted to.
Right. And Si Te Vas, If You Leave, obviously, Jagged Little Pill is a breakup album. So I didn't look at the lyrics on this, but I can guess what If You Leave is about. I don't have to look.
Yeah. I mean, you won't go content diving on this one, but you'll enjoy the production.
But I can tell you at the end of the chorus, that turnaround, that really ragged turnaround, she's upset about something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And she's making it known.
Yeah. The other thing I'll say before I think we should move on is, I mean, this is a very basic 3-chord song, but I do like the octave guitar solo.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And not necessarily of its time.
No, I mean, other than maybe there's a little bit of Goo Goo Dolls doing that, but
sure. But it wasn't totally, pimped out by then.
Right.
I feel like whoever was given the directive to play guitar was given some leniency and some leash there.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can talk about production, right? We said it earlier, and, we use the word production in so many ways in this room.
Yeah.
But as a music producer myself, I look at production as what do I coach people to do? And when you give your musicians a lot of, control, you can get some really cool ideas. And
right.
Sometimes they'll suit the song better than you ever heard it or the artist ever heard it to begin with. I feel like there's a lot of balance in this album across the board with, okay, we're going to channel this cool 90s sound. We're going to stay true to our Latin roots. And then we're going to let the musicians speak.
Yeah.
I feel like whoever these performers were, and no, I did not do the deep dive, and it doesn't sound like you did too much of it. Like, you probably have a document that could hammer out who drummed on it per se, but they were able to speak. They were not just session musicians.
Yeah, and so Emilio Estefan was kind of the individual who Shakira met.
He was the one with the vision.
He was the one with the vision. He's the Glenn Ballard. So Glenn Ballard was a producer on Jagged Little Pill. Mm-hmm. Actually, be curious what Glenn Ballard would have done on this one, because there's some things I really like about this mix. And if you're trying to channel Alanis Morissette, there are some things that this does not do, which is fine.
It's not meant to be.
Right. But you talk about letting the musicians have control. I remember hearing this, or maybe reading this interview with Glenn Ballard, and he was talking about Flea, who plays on Jagged Little Pill and on You Ought to Know.
Yep.
And he was talking about how Flea was just like in the zone playing what he's doing, but his intonation was off. And he's like, I'm not going to stop recording. It's worth.
Yeah.
And-
I'll
and-
take Flea's attitude over the intonation of the bass guitar.
Right. And this is 1996 when Pro Tools existed, but Pro Tools was.
Version 2, 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're recording on Pro Tools. We've exited numbers at this point. I think it's called Pro Tools Perpetual or something at this point. I don't even know.
Right.
I just pay them $300 a year and get on with it.
Yeah. And they were recording on tape and all
Yeah.
of that. And there might have been some adjusting, doing, to fix some of that intonation. Like, I don't know if the bass was out of tune or he was just like slamming so hard he was bending strings or
It's
whatever.
bending.
Yeah.
It's just Flea being Flea.
Right. But it was worth the attitude.
Yeah. And that's a good performance. And it's nothing you couldn't not back into place nowadays, technology at least.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on. Song 3.
Song número 3. Mosacas en la casa. Now, the translation of this, it's what I thought, but I feel like the direct translation, it's got to mean something else because it means like files in the house. But
I thought it meant fish and soft chips. No?
it does not. And La Casa, is in the house, right? Everyone knows that. To me, this is a pretty ballad about a breakup.
Yeah, this one screams bachata to me. Like, it's just so
Yeah.
traditional in its own sense. Now, not to say it's without some of these U.S. influences we've been talking about, though. So if you listen to the way that the guitar effects are on there, there's like this chorus kind of layer that's going on that is not remotely traditional. It's whoever was Antonio, you said, was Emilio.
Yep.
Thank you. Whoever was the producer kept their ear on sound at this time, and you could hear the same kind of guitar tonality that you heard in like who wrote Chicken Cherry Cola?
Oh,
Who was it?
I've lost it. Yeah.
And the other one, I want to stay at the end of the day. Savage Garden.
Yes, thank you.
This kind of like ethereal, like chorusy guitar thing. It was like a really refined version of what we used to get with The Cure. There's layers in this ballad that are very modern, is what I'm getting at. And, go to any Mexican restaurant for Margarita Monday and listen to just whatever's on the back radio. You'll hear these beautiful ballads all day, but you won't hear any modern aspects. And this song did a really good job of having a beautiful blend. She has a great landscape to sing against.
Yeah, I agree. And there's some authenticity to it, but some safety. Like the drum beat's a bit of a bolero rhythm, but it's not a true bolero.
Yeah.
What
What did I say, bachata?
What's that?
Bolero is definitely more.
Yeah, it's more bolero. And we both thought it doesn't sound like this at all, but we both came to the same conclusion at the very beginning that this is Tequila Sunrise.
Tequila Sunrise, dude.
So that's the safety part of it, right? Because Tequila Sunrise is very loosely influenced by white American men, right? Like they wrote the song to sound, derivative.
That was Caribbean at best, passed through them. Yeah, it's just so diluted, right?
Right. So there's some safety in this, but I think this song just sounds beautiful. It's like the production on this.
It's a gorgeous tune. It
Yeah.
fits perfectly in the album. And if you look at the placement after Wake Up Here We Are, number 1, Rockin' number 2, They Take You Down, number 3. I
Yeah.
do believe there's a flow in this album, by the way. You're gonna catch me going with this. There's some sense of flow. It's not like it's a concept album. Don't get me wrong. It is most certainly not. But there's strategy in how they presented this. And
I could
think
not
they did
agree
it
with you
very
more.
well. I think they did it very well.
Yes. This
And
is
so
very well assembled.
if they're going, okay, which crowd do we win first? Which crowd do we win second? Okay, who did we lose? Let's give them the third. Like, there's a lot of thought that went into how they were going to show this album off.
Yeah, I agree. And you know me, as we've played music together, I'm huge about the shape of the set list.
Oh, totally. And this is no different. However, the production style has not left us. It's still my ears are comfortable. You have not kicked it up or down a decibel. I mean, it speaks the same way the last song did. Just, it's a different song.
Yeah. One thing that's interesting about this is I think we already mentioned the MTV Unplugged performance that she did in 2000. And I talked about the bolero rhythm. In the Unplugged version, she has fewer ingredients to work with,
Sure.
and the bolero is a lot more prevalent there. It's pretty cool. And I encourage, listeners to not only...
She's just leaning into her culture at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a cool unplug because there's okay, strip away all the production we did for new age, and you still have killer sounding traditional songs.
Yeah, the very first song, Sia Soramura, she brings out the mariachi band, and it's not a dance track anymore. It's like fully, you're there. It's awesome.
And she's the kind of performer who can hold that up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to watch Dua Lipa do her unplugged set. Sorry. I like her, personality-wise. Ever since I saw her on that day drinking with
Seth Meyers.
Yeah. I think she got sick on the first one. I think she's a funny person. I think she's kind. That's not somebody who vocally wows me and never will. Right? Like, you look at a Shakira carry this, she could carry it a cappella.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the difference here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Shakira could be whoever she wants to be.
That's right. She can drive it as hard as she wants to, or keep it as cool as she wants to, and play with her band. It also helps, when you play an instrument or two, that you speak the same language in some extent there.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Cuatro.
No creo. I don't think so.
Yes, I had no idea that's what that meant. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Considering the tone of the song.
It's basically a dance song.
Yep.
But it still has electric and acoustic guitars, harmonica.
Yep.
So
assumedly played by Shakira?
probably she plays it live. I watched a live performance of this song. She plays it.
Sick. That's awesome.
So whether she played it on the album is kind of irrelevant.
It matters to me that she gets the respect.
Yeah. This song, though, I like to make connections.
Yes.
I've got some Cher vibes on this one.
I did too.
Okay.
I did too. I got Cher and I got upbeat Natalie Merchant is what my tasting notes say.
Oh, I was waiting to drop Natalie Merchant on you, you fucker. Oh, I have some Natalie Merchant to talk about later.
My note says verbatim, besides congas and melodica, this could be mistaken for an upbeat Natalie Merchant song.
I didn't mention it for this one. I have it on some other songs.
It's so of the time.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's a great song. I love where it sits in the album. Mm-hmm. They, once again, have done a great job balancing where you're going to put your ballad and then you're going to bring it back up. Yeah. This is such a cool tune. And it's very modern sounding. And, the hand percussion, not unheard of at the time in America. Melodica, super cool.
Yep.
I could be mistaken, by the way, on quick listen. That could easily be accordion, but one way or another, it sounds.
I would bet it's a melodica.
It sounds like a melodica to me, and so it's very minimally giving that little bow to Latin American culture, while still being a hell of a pop song.
Yeah. Of the songs, though, for me, it's one of the more repetitive ones.
It is.
So I don't know that I would put this on by itself, but I would not skip it listening to the album.
It's not making my Spotify playlist.
Right.
But it's a breath in its position on the album. For me.
Yeah, especially, with what comes after.
Well, precisely. It also solidifies, I think, if you look at the common denominator in hindsight, it's very par for the course. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody with this song was like, this is going to be the banger.
Right.
You and I have recorded albums in the studio and been like, okay, that's going to be the one that hits.
What are the numbers on this one on Spotify?
I'd be interested to see because the numbers of Spotify are not what I judge them at.
Right. So it's on the lower side. It's less than
50 million.
Yeah, 50 million.
I mean, with the high being almost 400 million.
Right.
It's not loved. It's sub 4 minutes, 3:52. We could pass by this one, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's move on. Oh my God. Can I read the title on this?
See.
Inevitable.
Yeah.
En English. It's a ballad.
It's one of the, we'd say it's probably one of the hits on the album. It's the highest in Spotify. It's almost 400 million on this one.
Yeah, it's a 394 mil and change, which is a funny thing to say.
Yep.
But man, this song is actually pretty great.
I love it. One of the things I love about this is I love the choice of drums.
So hold on, stop. Can I ask you this? Because we didn't do this one earlier. So Dan and I try not to do these spoilers so we can save for Mike. We did one earlier and high-fived over Tequila Sunrise. The drums, what do they remind you of?
Oh, I wanted to ask you that question.
Oh, okay. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah.
High and Dry. Radiohead.
Oh my God. This is why we're doing a podcast.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah!
Yes. Yeah.
It's
a low tune snare. You can almost hear the pillow in the bass drum.
It's so good. Yeah. It's so good. And I can promise you they didn't listen to High and Dry them record this. It was just of the time. This was such a great way to enter a song.
Yeah. You know a drummer is playing it.
Oh, it feels so whole. Yeah. And, if you have to listen to a ballad, I'm not shitting on balladers out here. Mm-hmm. You can look at, my best buddy Ralph writes ballads. Adele writes ballads. There are killer ballads in this world. But the Spanish ballad, as one would say, or the Latin ballad is probably the proper way to put it. There's a ton of them, right? Here, this is such a cool way to approach this style of music.
Yeah. And for me, this was a song that screamed 10,000 Maniacs or Natalie Merchant.
This one to me screamed Counting Crows.
Okay.
And then towards the pre-chorus, chorus, Semisonic.
All right. I'll give you that. Yeah. Yeah.
For those who are totally getting lost in our mind, Semisonic wrote Closing Time. But they're also a really, really great band. Listen to any college radio station. Semisonic has awesome music.
They do. Now, what I like also on this one is there's two different versions of this instrument on this song. So there's a B3 that's in here.
Yep. That's an organ.
What's that? Yes. Sorry. B3 organ, Hammond B3 organ.
Yep.
Most of it is more Procol Harum until the...
Well, it says you got to tell the people what the hell you mean. I know what you mean.
All right. Procol Harum does what song?
I don't know.
Whiter Shade of Pale.
Oh, of course. Sorry.
Yep.
One of Rick Beato's top 10 intros of all time.
Right. So the organ in the background sounds very much Whiter Shade of Pale.
Sure.
Until you get to a rocking section, then you hear a little bit of the B3 comes out. There's a little bit of a solo going on.
You get a pulsating, a little more attacky.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this song's just fantastic. And its placement on the album is absolute perfection.
So how many artists did we mention on this one?
4, 5, 6.
Right. And what I love about this, because you talked about how you didn't feel like this was lagging, right?
No, this ballad, yeah.
Yeah.
Ballads traditionally they're slow songs, and they're stuck in the mud and perseverating on lost love or whatever it might be. This is a ballad. There's no question about it. But it's with a mission. It's going somewhere.
Yeah. And as evidenced by its success.
It rocks.
Yep.
At almost 394 million listens. Just fantastic tune. Cool. Anything else to say on that one?
No.
I'm so glad you pulled the organ out of that, because I feel like the Hammond organ style makes such a difference in that song.
Yep.
And not a very common player in 90s music, sans Wallflowers, Counting Crows.
Right. Yeah, but
really can't think of anybody else.
But
maybe.
for someone who's probably considered a pop diva, what?
Yeah,
I did not expect that.
The B3 organ.
Sorry.
for those who aren't familiar, that's like the church organ in gospel.
Right.
It's one of the coolest and most soulful things you can have. It's expressive as all get out. It uses drawbars to control its voicing the same way that we use vibrato as singers.
Often used with a Leslie speaker.
Yeah, something that oscillates and fills the room.
Yep.
These organs you feel more than you hear.
Right.
If they're played correctly.
Yeah.
Or if you're hearing them, that means the guy who's playing them or gal is insanely good and they really want to get in your face.
Exactly.
We
We get a
go
Corey
see
Henry, or we can get
Soul
a
Live, like Neil Evans,
Yep.
or Alan Evans. You can really get out there.
Yep.
Jimmy Smith, like it's just like
Larry Goldings.
that's right. So go listen to some organ music. In fact, if you want to catch us, and we will send you back our favorite B3 organ stuff. Just email us at
backwardsbeatpodcast@gmail.com.
and we'd love to share. That would be a cool side segment for us, top 10 organ features.
Yeah. And we are also Backwards Beats Podcast on social media.
Yeah, just hit us anywhere you find us.
We're going to grab a quick break.
I can clean up.
Baby smooth, baby smooth, baby smooth, baby smooth, baby smooth.
Looking good shouldn't be a chore. With Baby Smooth self-waxing underwear, you can groom and go in one bold, efficient move. Here's the deal. You wear them, you live your life, and when it's time to take them off, well, that's when the magic happens. Whip Smooth technology ensures every removal delivers clear, smooth results. No razors, trimmers, or effort. Just one quick... Well, you'll hear it when it happens. Why choose Baby Smooth? Perfectly smooth skin every time. No batteries, no charging, just yank and go!
Go!
Subtle enough for daily wear, effective enough to change your life. Upgrade your grooming game. Visit babysmooth.com today. Baby Smooth. It's not pain, it's perfection.
When does it stop bleeding?
Were you wearing a ribbon?
Baby Smooth self-waxing underwear is designed for personal grooming purposes only. Baby Smooth is not responsible for any unexpected dork-related surprises or dong-related injuries caused by improper use. Results may vary based upon hair type and pain tolerance. Please use responsibly and always follow instructions. For external use only, because some things are smooth enough.
Baby smooth, baby smooth, baby smooth, baby smooth, baby smooth. Go!
My avatar looks like a dude with no hands. He's very bald. All right, let's move on. We're going to number 6 here.
Numero 6.
Numero 6.
However, it is octavo dia, which is 8th day.
8th day.
Yeah.
That sounds like it has a message behind it.
It does. I want to go a little deep on this one. I know you have a lot of thoughts on this.
I have some. I feel like you have more.
I do. So at first, I want to go deeper on this song due to a minor coincidence.
Okay.
All right. So the minor coincidence we talked about Alanis Morissette. So this is the 6th song on the album, and
Pretty
the song,
much the center of the album. It's an 11-song album. All
Yep.
in.
And it's a song about Shakira's feelings about God and relationship with God. The 6th song on Jagged Little Pill is a song called Forgiven, which is a song about her feelings about God. I love that song too, but I'm like, is there some engineering going on here, or is it just a coincidence? That was the first thing I want to talk about. But then as I dig in, there are more things I wanted to talk about. But before I go on, you're grinning like...
Is there a conspiracy theory here?
I'm just saying.
How many songs are in Jagged Little Pill?
Oh, I didn't look that up.
I'm going to look it up right now because, I mean, I'll be very frank too. Like, the overwhelming influence of this album that I heard was Alanis Morissette. So let's just do a little live research. You're welcome, listeners. And I'm just going to pull up Jagged Little Pill on Spotify. I swear to God, we have noticed. 95 was the album. Oh, snap.
Oh, snap.
They had 3 years to process this.
And like I said, Alanis Morissette was ruling the earth.
Not like Shakira. She has less listens. Look at that. Here you go. Right. 480 on Ironic.
Yep.
But look, Head Over Feet, 102. Hand in My Pocket, 202. Dude, Shakira's freshman album destroyed these numbers.
For sure.
That's so crazy.
The only difference is...
But yeah, you're right. Forgiven, song 6.
Song
At a
6.
mere 13.5 listens.
And that song slaps. That is an underrepresented
Hold on.
song.
Shakira almost double plussed it at 39 million listens.
Right, because Shakira's mistakes on this album are more. Right? You know what I mean? Like 22 million, I think, is her least. Is that what I'm seeing here?
What do you say?
So 22 million is her least listens, is Shakira's least
Yeah.
listens. Like I said, her mistakes. Like,
Oh, okay.
right. Her,
That's what you meant.
yeah, like her flops are 22
I'm
million.
saying
Yeah.
Shakira's album has significantly more listens than Alanis Morissette's album.
And so what I think that I'm not going to discredit Shakira, but what I think
You
that
can't. She holds the trophy.
she does hold the trophy, but what Shakira does have going for her is an entire other continent,
Truth.
right? So she ruled South America, and then she came in and ruled North America. Alanis Morissette is a Canadian gal who ruled North America.
And probably didn't break much further. Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
Got it,
Like
got
I'm
it. Look at the picture too. Look at the
It's
so
fun-
we're
funny people gave her
staring
crap
at we're staring at the album art too. She got the long hair, very skinny frame, semi low cut red shirt but no cleavage, super pale. And then we go to Jagged Little Pill.
Yep.
Or any picture of Alanis Morissette. She kind of has the same. There you go.
So Jagged Little Pill, Alanis Morissette hair, yes, it was unkempt, Medusa-esque hair.
That's right.
Right.
Just pale white chick, very little makeup, not done up. See ironic video, 4 versions of her in the same car looking exactly the same.
Yep.
I mean, there is cross-contamination here.
Yep.
Right?
There is, and it's not a bad thing. I just when, I don't know why, because I guess because I love the song Forgiven.
Yeah.
And then we get to this song and I'm like, all right, I'm getting all the Alanis vibes. I'm like, what track number is Forgiven? I'm like, it's number 6.
I can't believe you pulled that out. You should be a detective.
It's terrible. Imagine being my child.
No. That's my nightmare. I'm so glad I'm just your friend.
So that's initially why I wanted to dig into this was that little coincidence. But then I also wanted to touch on the keyboard guitar intro, which to me is a cross between Dream On by
Yeah,
Aerosmith
I
and
got
Don't Speak
thoughts.
by No Doubt.
It's my least favorite progression of all time. What is it? A minor 6/5/4 thing or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like that verse progression. Every time I hear it, it's so grating on me. It's not a Shakira thing. This is just a Carl musician thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time getting over that progression.
Yeah.
It screams to me like, watch me be dramatic. Descending minor chord thing.
But
Yes.
this is also the most harmonically interesting song on the album.
No question asked. Would you like me to read you
Potentially.
my note?
Yeah.
It goes. Oh, this progression is not my favorite. But then it turns into a pretty cool grunge song. What's that great spike chord? Ask Dan.
It's an E flat.
It's a B flat.
E flat. It's an E flat.
Oh, E flat.
Right. So like the song goes between B minor and D, the relative major.
Oh, wow. What would that E flat be?
Well, it depends on where you are. So this is coming, they're in a B minor progression.
I was just looking for a yell tritone, Daniel. But no.
So E flat in the key of B, right, is D sharp, right? So it's the major third. So it's a
Yep.
3 major chord if you're in a B minor,
That's right.
right? Or it's the flat 2 in D because the chorus goes straight into D. So it actually serves as a pivot chord
There it is.
to get you this half step resolution down to D. But they hang on that E flat or D
They
sharp.
really ride it. And so I was going to say, it has to from the second.
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure, and I figured I'd check in with my Berkeley boss.
And yes, I've looked into it and I learned it.
Of course he did. Of course he did. But it's once again, it's a musical risk. You're putting out a pop out. People paid money for this, a lot of money for this. you're gonna play a really testy chord.
And hang on, there's a fermata, like there's a pause.
No,
I mean,
yeah,
it's a
totally.
4 beat. They hang on that E flat for four beats.
But I mean, that's a respectable 4 beats.
right,
That's airtime. That's like 2.5% of your song.
right. Here's a quote unquote sour note that I'm going to let you marinate on before I get into
That's
a
right.
pretty standard chorus.
And over a religious sounding song too. I mean, the messaging is
Yeah. So this song, when I dug in a little bit more, there's some stuff around her live performances which stirred up some controversy. But before we get into that, let's talk about the story of this song. Essentially is the idea of God, after creating the earth on the 8th day, takes a stroll through outer space to like explore. And when he comes back to earth, he's like, what the fuck? Right. He comes back and the place is Desorden Inferno, right? So a hellish mess. Those are the from the lyrics, right? And he can't find anyone to talk to and eventually gives up as they're too busy worshiping celebrities like Michael Jackson, Bill Clinton, or the funny thing, Tarzan. These are actual lyrics.
Tarzan, yeah.
Right. And being controlled by our appointed leaders or false idols.
That's a little more apropos for South America.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about Michael Jackson so much.
Yeah. It's kind of an interesting choice because of when I don't know exactly when the song was written.
He was still alive.
Right, but were we in 1998? Were we worshiping Bill Clinton? Worshipping?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And I think this song was not written in 98 if it was released in 98.
Right. So, yeah. So, anyway, I just thought it was weird, and Tarzan's a weird thing. But
I
anyway,
think this is definitely blowjob era, right?
we were well aware of that at this point.
Yeah. And then MJ, Suspect.
Yeah.
What did Tarzan do? Did Tarzan fuck kids?
No, but think about there's a lot of feelings about Tarzan and how he, white guy in a jungle, and there's some stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some negative feelings there. But however, in her live performances, she gets pretty political. So in her 2002 tour, which I think is the tour where Whenever Wherever came out. So that
Got riding the heck of that song.
So on screen behind her, she had this footage, this video made up of George W. Bush and Saddam Hussein as puppets playing chess, interspersed with war footage going on.
Pretty concerned in American politics.
Yeah. And
Happy to sell that song to America.
So then the band are wearing George W. Bush masks.
Okay.
And getting fairly agitated. And there's a breakdown in the song where she gives like a Bono-esque kind of speech about, hey, first of all, pop stars shouldn't be, we know we're not supposed to express our feelings and our opinions about world events, blah, blah, blah. But eventually she turns it into, why can't we just like love each other? Like she doesn't get too deep into it.
No, it's lovey.
Yeah,
Got
but
it.
she goes in there. It's very rattle and hum. It's an interesting performance, worth watching.
They bought George W. masks.
Yeah, it's crazy. So then as the song progresses, the video in the background of W and Saddam escalates. They stop playing with chess pieces and it's, weapons and nuclear weapons. And they're all being manipulated by like a Grim Reaper. Like it's this whole thing. It's not what I would have expected out of Shakira. Right. So I just thought it was really interesting, fascinating. In the show notes, I'll put the link to the YouTube video.
Yeah, I would say I can't wait to watch this.
Yeah.
Anything will be better than the last political show I saw, which was Morrissey shoving 20 minutes of meat is murder in your face.
Yeah. She doesn't go deep, right? I mean, she has it going on in the background. The song is still the song, but it was I thought it was very interesting, and obviously it stirred up a little bit of.
But say that's hefty.
Yeah.
That's once again unexpected of the Shakira that we were introduced to in the pop realm in America.
Yeah.
A common message here. This is a lot of stuff under the hood on this artist.
Yeah. She has something to say.
Indeed. All right, let's hammer through a few more.
Número 7.
I think so.
Que vuelvas.
Ooh. This is just a dance tune, bro.
It is. So that translates to that you came back,
Yeah.
or you came back, something like that.
I grew up, in this. My seminal years were the 90s, and this is where we had access to, great music, not only alternative, but one of my favorite styles of music that I listened to as a young man was, just straight up EDM style. What back then was just dance music.
Yep.
I mean, I listened to Z104 nonstop, and it was like La Bouche and stuff like that. Just these boots, and these singers over it. CNC Music Factory type of stuff. This to me was so cut right that this is a very hard pass song for me because it was, it was them going, all right, cool, throw the dance song in there now, digitally produced drums. Let's just run forward on the song. And we have so much great music. Crystal Waters, right here from Maryland,
Yeah.
was crushing the charts at that time on really good dance music.
Yeah.
90s dance music was some of my favorite. It'll always be some of my favorite music of all time. Shakira's attempt at it was not it.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about this. That my positives are, I like the stereo hard pan guitars.
That's of
Right?
the time, right? Yeah.
I like that. And given the amount of real instruments that exists in this song, I wish they used a real drummer.
Yeah,
Actually-
you could have just done that and had something a little more groovy per se.
Yep.
But this is clearly for me an attempt to just like, all right, cool. Here's our dance song.
I will say the chorus is pretty damn catchy though.
It's fine.
Yo quiero, right?
No,
Quavo.
it's there.
I like that you're back, right? It's puts a smile on your face, but it's
You won't breach the market
no.
that you were trying to reach there.
Yeah.
And this is what to me makes this album, if you really look at it, take this out to 20,000 feet, a little bit of a sampler pack.
Yeah. I mean, this
I told you earlier, I really appreciate the placement of songs on this album. I never said I think it's a really good, cohesive album. I think they were really strategic, and they were like, cool. All right, we're towards the end. I mean, we're what? Song 7?
Yep.
Okay.
They need to speed it up because the next song is not fast.
Here's your dance tune.
Yep.
We're going to put this one in here. It's an easy place to bury it. And this is after a hefty shower of a song.
Mm-hmm.
Where else did you bury your dance tune?
Yep. No, it fits perfectly.
It doesn't offend me.
No, it's again not one that I would necessarily put on myself. It surprises me that the numbers are as high as they are. I mean, it's almost 200 million.
180. No, I'm sorry. Oh, this is 30. 30 million.
Oh, sorry. I skipped one.
No.
Yeah, okay,
It's super low.
Never mind. It does not.
It actually charts second lowest on the whole album.
Yeah, it's almost her turd.
And rightfully so.
At only
It's-
29 million.
It pretty much doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the next song.
2.
Allow me. 2. Oh, you already did it.
Muy bien. 2, which means
2?
you.
You. 2. Oh. I took
Yeah,
French.
dos. It's 2.
Shit, it's not even French. 2. It's American.
To me, the intro to this is 100% 10,000 Maniacs.
Yep. 100%. I had that in my notes as well.
I think they use a baritone guitar, which is interesting.
Oh, let's go. I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, I feel like, especially at the beginning.
After the recording, we're going to listen to this
Okay.
one specifically just for that purpose.
Yeah. And I like they use real strings. And when we talked about Rufus earlier, we talked about, they did some real string arrangements on Rufus, but they did a lot of what I call like string filler with guide tones and common tones. But there's like a cello part in this.
No, there's an actual part.
Yeah.
This is counterpoint. I mean, it's really cool.
Yeah. So I really like that about it. I have a complaint. I can't say it's a complaint, but I'm going to say it's a complaint. Is that this chorus, to me, flirts between Open Arms by Journey and These Dreams by Heart. It resolves the way These Dreams by Heart. resolves.
So this is an 80s chorus is what I'm hearing?
It is. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it takes me out of the song because next thing I'm singing Open Arms in my head. And then
Yeah, see, is this our flaw? This is our flaw.
this is my problem. This is not a problem with the
Yeah.
song. This is my problem.
I can't help but hear Alanis Morissette's Head Over Feet for the verse.
Yeah, which is a better song.
It is, unfortunately. But with that said, this is my favorite song on the album, probably.
Really?
Yeah. Wow.
I wouldn't have called that for you.
I really like the production. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is not a spoiler. This is not the would you hit it or, but like this one for me absolutely screams. This is cool. Way to lean into some styles. It's set at the right time late in the album. It's interesting enough. It's got a Spotify graphic for fuck's sake. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
it really hits. I like the instrumentation. I like the chords. I know I'm just saying general things here, like I like Lamp, but listen to this song. User beware. It's not you. Listen to this song, second or third, if you want to dance around this album. You're going to hear a sense of mastery in vocalese here. She seems comfortable as a singer on this song. And that's so hard to do.
So in the thing, my complaint, the chorus complaint, that's what you're talking about. She's fantastic through that chorus. Again, my problem with this song is my problem alone. This is really a good song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a stunning tune.
I just can't I have yet to be able to divorce myself of those things to enjoy it the way you enjoy it.
Once again, it's a ballad.
Yeah.
I'm overusing this term today, but that's what you get when you have a ton of Latin music. It's like, this is a ballad at the end of the day. And that's okay. That's how this has to be when you have, something that's so heavily influenced by Latin America and styles of writing, but you get modern production for the time.
Yeah. Again, this is a good song. Don't listen to me. Listen to Carl.
He's right. But I will not be right if I try and say the title to song number 9.
Dónde Están los Ladrones?
Once again, that's the title track for the album.
See, where are the thieves?
Tell us something about this.
I think this is interesting because there are 2 sections with 2 distinct styles.
Agreed. My notes said, can we talk about the sections?
Let's talk about the sections. Let's talk about the verse, where to me, I feel like it's an homage to Shania Twain
Yeah.
with a little bit of John Cougar in the guitar part.
I had Sheryl Crow too in there.
Cool. Yeah. Same. Yeah.
Just on the first waft, if you will. No, the John Cougar, Shania Twain. The Shania Twain's dead ass. When we were making fun of that, earlier, I was like, "Oh my god, that's it."
Yeah. Not that it's a bad thing.
No, it's perfect country, guys. I mean, it's like long delayed guitar swells, emotional singing, major pentatonic stuff.
It's upbeat though.
Oh, totally.
You line dance to this and have a great time.
It's fantastic, and the production's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to produce something that sounded like this.
Absolutely.
But the section,
It takes a fairly hard turn,
I'd
think.
say.
Tell me about it.
I'd rather hear your take.
Well, we've got power chords.
It's a little grungy.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's just a power chord rocker through the thing, and oddly enough, it's a little jarring getting into it for my taste. Getting out of it, somehow it works. Getting out of it, I don't know how they escape it so cleanly, but I feel like they land it at the end. But I'm like, what just happened to did I just put on another song?
This is why I threw it to you, is I didn't want to be pessimistic.
Yeah.
I found it very jarring, and I'm not so kind on the recovery, per se. They had a good thing going. I don't know why they didn't keep it. You could have just had the new Listen to Your Heart, and we could have moved on.
Yeah.
This is my second least favorite track on the album.
Yeah, I don't have much else to say. I'm kind of with you. I wish they stuck with what they started with.
Agreed.
Because the chorus, with it being a rocker, it's not great.
No, but we had a very Americana country thing going on, only to have it totally rock out for no reason. It did not strike me well, and this is the first of many, or I guess 3 songs that have kind of bendy country influence on this album.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to, I don't know how to say 10 in Spanish.
Sombra de ti, shadow of you.
Ooh.
Which is so appropriate for
Yes.
the vibe. This is a song of vibes to me. And again, we don't pregame much before these episodes, but we did a quick, like 30-second listen through of the songs, because some of these albums we walked into, I'd never heard this album before.
No, there's no reason really.
Right. And so even though I've listened to this album probably 10, 12 times at this point, it's not ingrained in my soul. And so we went through to do this, and we hear this song, and we both have a smile on our face, and it's like 1, 2, 3. This song is
Blah. Yeah.
right, which is
On this one, it's
Wicked Game.
oh yeah, Chris Isaac.
Chris Isaac.
Longing, sorrow. It's we talked about this one earlier. Yeah.
Yep.
And though it might not be that same A minor riff,
Right.
it's just that long, drawn out.
The slidey guitar.
It's, I mean, and once again, apropos for the time, everybody wants to have written Chris Isaac's song.
Yeah, or at least been in the video.
I mean, I'd be either in the video. I'd be the palm tree in the video.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah,
Just
so
put me
for
in the
those of
video.
you before the internet, there was that video.
This was the softest of porns.
Wicked Game. Wicked Game. Yeah, by Chris Isaac.
the song "Wicked Game" by Chris Isaac.
Jesus.
Fantastic song. And no, I mean, you can tell it's drawn from there. However, she sells it. This song to me is an absolute banger.
Yeah, like I said, the vibe, the soundscape of this song. I was asking, so I'm not a guitar player. When I heard this, I wasn't sure what was making the bendiness, because there isn't a lot of attack on the notes. But
Roll
Carl,
that down on your delay pedal, bro.
Yep, Carl mansplained to me how it works, and so
Shout out to our friends at Mansplain.
absolutely.
No, but yeah, you roll down your attack on your delay pedal, and you take a slide to that thing, and you go, and it sounds distant and scary and bendy, and they really hit the same vibe that the Chris Isaac track was willing to, put out there first.
And I'd say with a few more years of experience and knowledge, like the soundscape is a little richer than what you get on the Chris Isaac song.
Sure.
I still think I like Wicked Game better as a song, but
It might be a production thing too.
yeah, I think it's just that. But I think that I love this song.
Yeah. It's the true departure to the album before what I consider to be the bonus track.
Yeah, this is, since we already talked about Bare Naked Ladies, this is She's on Time.
There you go. Well put. If you're following the Bare Naked Ladies catalog,
Yes.
but you'll see
That was a hidden track on the album.
Yeah,
She's on
you'll
Time.
you'll see a lot of. I mean, you could look at Blink-182 and
Yep.
Sublime.
Yep.
I want to fuck a dog in the ass and drunk driving.
Mm-hmm.
Not nearly as sweet ending songs. However,
I mean, it is the safest time of the month for making love, according to Stephen Page.
there you go.
I love that song.
May his career rest in peace. No, this is a great.
Yeah.
This is a great setting your glass on the coaster and looking out the window type of moment before we enter the final song of the album.
Yeah. Ojos así.
What does that mean?
Eyes there?
Like,
There's got to be a real translation, but that's the literal
like
translation.
Carl, were you around? I was like, it's there.
Right.
No,
Like,
not
ojos is eyes as in eyeballs.
that. Got it. Eyeballs there.
Right.
And this is not remotely normal in this album.
Well, this is her.
Lebanese side?
Yeah.
This Eastern. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how many pop songs do you know that are Phrygian?
Yeah, and with tabla openers.
Right. Actually, my only complaint about this song is there's authentic, instruments in here. It's using a Phrygian scale, which is a minor scale with a flat 2.
It's the Aladdin sound, guys.
Yeah, and I do have a thing I want to debate with you on later on this one.
I want to fight.
But I don't know if it's going to be a fight. We'll just see where we come in. But I don't like the 4 on the floor drum loop in this. I wish she just kept it to authentic instruments. You can still dance to it. Why did they put a drum loop in?
That's not a debate for me. I agree. Like you already own your genre. You took the risk of throwing. I mean, you throw at song 11. I get it. You put it at the end of the album so that people can dunk on it. But like, why would you try and naturalize it? I throw air quotes by naturalize. Like, don't dance beat that. Like, let the culture's dance beat, which is not a 4 on the floor drum loop, dance beat that. It's so cool until it's not cool.
Yeah, it doesn't ruin the song. It just I just wish she kept it pure.
Mm-hmm. You didn't need to overproduce a song. You could have just left it as a really cool way of showcasing her vocal ability, which is so awesome and unique. I mean, Shakira, we all know this just from listening to her pop songs, does not sing like the average person.
No, we've talked about Cher and Alanis Morissette.
And many people in between.
Right. And when I say that, because Cher can sing like nobody's business.
Yep.
Alanis Morissette can sing like nobody's business, and she can do both.
That's right. And she can do the Natalie Merchant. And she
Yep.
can do the Jewel. And she can do the Gwen Stefani modern. She can do whatever she wants to do.
Yep.
And it would be really cool if they let their singer just carry this song.
Yeah. What are the numbers on this one?
I'd love to see. Let's go look.
Because I actually really enjoy this song, as a music nerd.
$134, not bad.
Yeah, respectable for
Those are
11th
wedding
song.
plays, I swear to God.
What'd you say?
Those are probably wedding plays.
Yeah, it could be.
No, I'm serious. I feel like that's like, you pull this as a dance song. For instance, the songs before this were 22 million and 36 million, respectively. So 134 million is pretty good for your kind of off-color Lebanese track at the end of your 1998 release. Mm-hmm. Way to go.
Yeah, actually, I'm curious about the demographics on that. Not that we have access to that, because I wonder if that is, because it's definitely, Middle Eastern.
Yeah, lean into that.
Is that the audience who's digging in?
Oh, dude, I've DJ'd some like Persian weddings.
Yep.
Like people go off. It's fantastic.
They love to dance.
That's exactly right.
And you know who else loves to dance? Latin America. They like own dance tunes. That's my complaint about the 4 on the floor. They have so many dances that are named. They name their rhythms, for crying out loud. We don't name our rhythms up here in the United States. You know what I mean?
You diluted your good brew with ours.
Right.
On this one.
It didn't need to happen. That being said, I do like the song. Like I said, not many pop songs in Phrygian. So here's my question for you, my debate question for you.
Hit me.
Is Sexy Back by Justin Timberlake a song in Phrygian?
Well, where's the tonic?
So it's an A minor and it goes to A sharp.
I mean, how could you argue against it?
Well, because there's only 2 chords. I think it is in a couple spots, but particularly there's I don't know if you remember the last time you listened to the song.
I have to listen to the melody now, right? Dirty Kate, da, 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 dirty Kate. If he starts on the 1, then yeah, it's Phrygian.
Okay, so there you go.
And he speaks everything else.
And there's a tiny little, who's the...
Timberland.
Timberland, yeah. So Timberland's the go ahead, be done with it. Right?
Yeah. And you can't act like he has musical theory backing up his melody.
No, but there's a
Timberland's
tiny little guitar solo in the song, if you remember, where he hits the flat 2 in the guitar solo. So that's why I'm convinced.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a whole. That's all not off the 1. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So We
agree. It's
we
a
agree it's
Phrygian.
a Phrygian song.
Yeah.
So there's another song, arguably more popular. I bet it's more popular than.
Yeah, I think Sexy Back's more popular than
Yeah.
this tune, yes.
So.
Phrygian-
but not many
songs-
Phrygian songs.
No, I agree. And we can give them respect.
Yeah.
With that said, to throw a Phrygian here, pull $140, end of album, horribly brave. This album absolutely slammed in numbers. It made the list. And frankly, it impressed me. It's so funny in this journey. I've said this, a few tunes in. It's just like the things you think. Shakira, what? Okay, they must know something I don't know. You listen to it, they knew something I didn't know.
Yeah.
This brings us to our favorite segment. Would you hit it?
Would I hit it? I love that question. I would hit it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Again, I was surprised. I had an expectation coming in. I didn't think I would not like it. I figured I would like it. The songs I knew of hers, I like. I just don't put them on. But with the concept of would you hit it, would I listen to it again? I have listened to it without thinking of the podcast already. I said, I want to hear that album.
Good. That's a hit on your end. I'm split. I generally, we've only done a few of these, so hitting it is a new thing for me. In the sense of committing to this record, and I told you one of my things is would I buy that vinyl? I would buy the vinyl. Yeah, I'd like to own this. I think that this album is fantastic. There's a couple missteps on here I don't love. But man, the good outweighs the bad. And when I think back to other albums I own, things I really like, things that have influenced me in the way I play and the way I write now, there's tunes that also misstep on those albums. So yeah, I'd hit this. I don't hit it super confidently. I hit it at the same level I hit the Arcade Fire album. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, I'm glad you have your stature here. And I respect Shakira immensely.
Absolutely.
Let me put that out there first and foremost. I think she's just such a fantastic singer, performer, presence, role model, advocate, whatever you want to call her. The album, to me, listens like, I don't know, like Jason Mraz has an album. We sing, we steal, we dance. Or no, we sing, we dance, we steal things. Overall, fantastic album. 2 songs in there I find just cringy as hell. But I can get over it because I think that the album is so fantastic. I'll give her the same exact respect. I really like the performer, the artist, and I really like the album. I would hit this. I would buy it on vinyl, and I'd happily play it for guests. I think, and it wouldn't be taco night type shit. It would be like, no, I mean that, and because like, it's so.
Hey, I have something else to play on Cinco de Mayo.
It just, you play it as an alternative album. Because that's what it is. Mm-hmm. You know what it's like less distorted Tragic Kingdom by No Doubt.
Right.
In its own realm.
With
I'm not talking
no
about
ska.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the ska and the drumming. I'm talking about this female singer carrying an album. That's what it hits for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I really enjoy this record. I was very impressed. I'll actually be listening to more Shakira to see where I have a feeling it's going to fall off for me.
Oh, yeah. In comparison to what we're about to experience, it probably will.
Yeah.
But early on, I can see why it made the list. Someone had to fight for that cut to make the list. Like people had to like speak up for that.
I think so. I mean, she stands on her own because of her reach and her sales and everything that's going on there. And if this was the gateway drug to the United States getting Shakira, well worth it.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you guys as always for listening. Long one, but we really like to get into the details of these songs, and please give this one a listen if you haven't already gotten to it. You can find us on all social media at
Backwards Beat Podcast.
Dan, what do we have next week?
Next week we have album 2 by Boyz II Men.
Ooh, I'll make love to you.
No thanks.
Okay, fine. I'm Carl Carter.
I'm Dan Woodard.
See you next week.
That was a show about the album Dónde Están, Los Ladrones. We don't speak Spanish, but Shakira crushed it on this album.
Backwards Beats Podcast is a Tunawood production recorded live at Thought Shack Studios in Halethorpe, Maryland.
If you enjoyed the show, make sure to subscribe and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You can find us at Backwards Beats Podcast on most platforms.
Share the love, and we'll see you next week for another deep dive into the next album on Rolling Stone Magazine's Top 500 list. Until then, salt your melons.